Hi, my name is Alyxaundria Sanford. I am actually making my return to journalism. So my undergrad degree is from Ohio University, from EW Scripps School of Journalism in Athens, Ohio. But I also got my first master's at CUNY's John Jay School of Criminal Justice. So that brought me to my community that I covered this year, women in mass incarceration, but I did not start there. I started wanting to cover formerly incarcerated people in entrepreneurship, but through my social journalism practice, I found that women who are in mass incarceration are kind of left out of the conversation. So just to tell you a little bit about my community, women are the fastest growing population of incarcerated people in the United States. They grow at a 50% higher rate than men since the 1980s. And incarcerated women face unique challenges. 82% of incarcerated women are in prison or jail for nonviolent offenses. 67% are victims of sexual assault by correction staff. And only 1/3 receive prenatal care of pregnant incarcerated women. They also have higher rates of mental trauma and addiction prior to incarceration, and there are fewer resources and educational programs in prison and upon release. So I'm not a part of that community, so I had to break in, and I had to listen, and I had to make myself available. So I listened several ways. I first started on social media via Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I actually did meet sources there, but I also was there in person. I interned at John Jay's Prisoner Reentry Institute, where I was a communications intern, and I went to several events. I live tweeted for them. I handled their Twitter account. I went to the Smart on Crime conference in October and was there just to be present and to listen to needs of the community. And I also am currently holding focus groups at Exodus Transitional Community about a project that I'll tell you about a little bit later. So these are just examples of the way that I interacted with my community on social media. I just felt that it would be great there to engage and to be visible and social, to see that I was part of the community. As you can see, I interacted with a panelist from the Smart on Crime conference. And this night at the Riker screening, I actually met one of my first sources and most reliable sources on Twitter. I also attended the Rethinking Reentry Conference in September, and this was about the best practices for reentry and making it better for everyone. But as you can see, women were on the panel, and some were formerly incarcerated women there as well. So the work that I produced, I created a Medium publication and with 10 pieces of original reporting, meaning that I sought out sources and interviewed them for my pieces. I created a Facebook community online called On Your Own Reentry that has 53 likes and follows. And I created 3 multimedia projects, an audio project, audio report, social video, and an infographic. Some of the stories that are featured on my Medium publication, I did a data story about the shelter dangers of broken windows policing and how that affects rearrest rates in New York City. I did a story featuring a woman from Cincinnati, Ohio, about the unique challenges women face while incarcerated. And I did an audio report with 2 formerly incarcerated people about the importance of them being part of the conversation on the policy, like in government and policy formation. So here are my top 3 pieces on Medium. I just wanted to highlight that I actually have a 54% read ratio, which I think is really good. And the great thing about these pieces are that the sources in them, they were the ones who actually shared these, and I can actually thank them for that reach. This is my Facebook page, and again, once I, like tag people in my posts or encourage them to share, that's how I got the most reach and engagement online. Again, lots of shares and lots of tags. This was my most read piece. The formerly incarcerated woman builds hope in the Bronx. And this is a video of her. Topeka Sam is a formerly incarcerated woman. She actually came out and wanted to provide housing for other formerly incarcerated women who didn't have the same support that she did. And I'll let you watch the video.
A lot of people were being released with less support than I did. I had my family, both my parents, my brothers, my friends, and I knew that my transition would be fairly easy.
I actually was invited to the actual open house of Hope House, which was great. I got to meet some other formerly incarcerated women who are part of that community, her supporters, and actually the woman here talking, Susan Burton, is her mentor. She created reentry programs and creates housing for formerly incarcerated women in LA. So what I learned through this was basically that formerly incarcerated women, their main concern upon release is housing. And it's very hard for them to find, especially here in New York City. I mean, we all know how hard housing is to find for anyone, but especially if you have felonies or if you have issues with, getting your children back. So Kathy Morris is one woman, she's formerly incarcerated, and she works at the PD Green program, and she explained to me that, when she came out, there was only one place that she felt like women could go, and that was our children in Long Island City. Diana McHugh of the Women's Prisoner Association, she talked to me about the issues with women coming out with children and how it's, how it's hard for them to find housing if they don't have their children, but then they need to have their children to be able to find housing. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. And again, Topeka Sam, there's housing for women with children, but not much for women without, and that's why she focuses on single women. So moving forward, I can't provide housing. So I tried to come up with a way to make it easier for women, formerly incarcerated women, to find housing and other resources, but ultimately, it will help all formerly incarcerated people. I am working on a website or an online catalog called On Your Own Reentry. This is what I'm doing with Exodus as far as holding focus groups and getting their feedback. Basically, you'll be able to create a customized list of resources throughout the city and where you can find them. Because there are plenty of resources for formerly incarcerated people across the city, a lot of nonprofits, but there's no one place to find them. And again, this is for anybody. This could be for social workers, this could be for parole officers, this could be for loved ones, children, girlfriends, husbands. Anybody should go on the site and be able to find customized lists for people. I will be working with The Last Mile, and they employ currently incarcerated people in San Quentin to be developers and engineers and building websites. And so I just felt like it would be full circle to include them on this project. They're really excited about it. I'm really excited about it, but we need money. So that's my next step. And so my insights from my year as a social journalist is to build trust. Again, I'm not part of this community, and the main thing that people asked me was, why did I care? And I had to tell them. I mean, I told them that I'm a master of criminal justice, and that, while I'm not part of this community, I feel like I am, or that I could be affected by it, and that I just care. And so the important part was to work with the people and organizations already doing the work, because they know what they're doing, and just support them. And to be physically present at these events, I saw a lot of familiar faces, and that helped me gain trust because they weren't surprised and knew what I was there for. I engaged on social. Everyone is online, well, not everyone, but most people are online, and have your community share your work, especially if they're part of it. People like to hear their own stories, and they like to share that. And so that's it. And if you have any questions or you have money for funding, let me know.